almost there, right? But we kept the most heaviest panel for the last. It gives me an immense pleasure to be the moderator of this session, a topic that we in the development sector and also international relations are looking very, very much forward to. So we already heard the President Boris Tadic, and we also have other panelist members, including another member from the Club de Madrid. We have with us Moussa, former Prime Minister of Mali. Club de Madrid, for those who are unaware, is a forum of international ex-democratic leaders, and their objective is to look into democracy, governance, and innovative policy making around the world. We also have a couple of diplomats within us. Mr. Park Young-sik, Ambassador, Embassy of the Republic of Korea in Bangladesh. And also we have Corinne Pignani. She is the current Charge d'Affaires of the Embassy of Switzerland in Bangladesh. We also are represented by the UNDP resident representative in Bangladesh, Mr. Stefan Liller. So we are very much thankful and we are very much grateful for the time that you are providing. And we look forward to a very, very productive and meaningful hour of discussions. So we heard Mr. Boris Tadic, and one of the things that struck me the most when, of course, is towards the end when he said we need more multilateralism. So as a fellow Club de Madrid member, maybe it's fitting let's ask Mr. Moussa, former Prime Minister of Mali, to really have an open-ended reflection based on what you have heard and also add your view on future of aid, multilateralism, geopolitics. So please, go ahead.
Thank you, dear moderator. I think, and I said to Boris, he already finished with our session when he introduced about the landscape, the international landscape now, and what could be the future relationship between the two big powers, the role of the European Union, African countries, of course, Bangladesh, as a country maybe with a small territory, but with a huge population, and how the population are more important by far than territory. And that could give to Bangladesh a key role on the next coming future debates. But what I would like to say in very few words is linked to the subject, the topic of this session, is we need relationship, partnership between countries, between regions, and on this way, the most important thing for each country, take individually, is to know on the international landscape, in terms of partnership and relationship, there is no friend. There is no friend. There is interest. And each of us as a country, African country, Bangladesh, and other countries from the global south, what we have to take first is to being able to know what are our interests in the short term, middle term, and the long term, and how to manage with the landscape we are facing and to deal with these issues and to work with whoever is able to help us to get our targets. The country taken individually should be focused on that. This is the first thing. The second thing is business investment, making money, is always better than help, aid. And on this way, one thing is important is the attractivity. The country, the region, the continent will have to be more attractive to organize themselves, to offer to others much more opportunities than the neighbors and other countries in order to attract and to get involved in global chains. And the last one I would like to add is the importance of the private sector. We are always talking about state, cooperation between state, public. Private sector remain the most important level and means to growth, to economy, and to welfare. And we have to focus our attention on that in order to strengthen our private sectors, to settle a relationship between private sectors beyond the continent, beyond the seas, and to create a condition for economical growth and individual hope making a reality. I think these three words and these three ways I would like to add to the debate. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I think that sets the tone very well for my next question. So regarding common interest and also private sector development and economic growth, what we have seen from our recent work that how the emerging economies are needing more and more support in terms of really supporting their ambitious economic growth. At the same time, there is also the sense of traditional aid going to civil society organizations, for example, being also very, very helpful and instrumental. So that brings me to Corinne, Corinne Pignani, the Charge d'Affaires Ambassador for Swiss Embassy in Bangladesh. How would you, or your government, or your agency, thinking about balancing between, say, in broader line, prosperity and freedom, when it comes to the need of a country like Bangladesh?
Thank you very much, Faisal, for this question. And when I was listening to our esteemed keynote speaker and also now on the panel, one straight away comes to me is what unifies us as countries, which is the Agenda 2030. And what is at the heart of the Agenda 2030 is the SDG 17, which is about partnership. And I think, as was said also before very eloquently, we cannot think the world today as the way we thought it, let's say, when the United Nations was created, or even 10 years ago. So this notion of partnership that was decided upon when countries in the United Nations decided to commit to the Agenda 2030 is something that my country, Switzerland, absolutely believes in. A country like Switzerland can only be part of the concert of the nations with the strong multilateralist system. And we are very much engaged in this conversation. So now when it comes to the question of Faisal, and it's something that is at the heart of the Swiss foreign policy, which is partnership. And we believe in eye-to-eye partnership. And by that, we mean that, yes, Switzerland has its interest, but Bangladesh, because we are in Bangladesh, also has its interest, as was reminded to us right now. And this conversation has to be eye to eye. And we also have to remember that aid, in the way it is thought, is not sustainable anymore. because it's not about someone knowing, helping someone that doesn't know. It's about two partners that seek for a solution. So for example, if I take Bangladesh again and the partnership between Bangladesh and Switzerland, our relationship has evolved through times. For example, today, between Bangladesh and Switzerland, we don't anymore do classical income generating activities. We work on access to market. We work on impact investing. We worked on access to finance. We worked on knowledge transfer. And this is, we think, together with our Bangladeshi partners, a very good way forward. And we will continue to evolve. And now with the transition that Bangladesh has embarked upon, new ways of being partners together are going to be developed. What I also want to stress is that partnership is about inclusivity. And I think today in this world, we cannot anymore talk about pockets of poverty only in the so-called global south. We have a challenge globally with the left behind people. And so this vision of the Agenda 2030 to leave no one behind should also be the compass of what we are trying to achieve together. And of course, being the woman on the panel, I'm also going to strengthen the SDG 5. The inclusivity of also different gender, different age, and different perspective. So that's what I wanted to share with you, Faisal. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. Now I move to Ambassador Park Young-sik to bring in a bit of different flavor. So there has been a lot of talk about middle power coming as a kind of new force of both finance, inspiration, and knowledge transfer. And it is also in a fragmented world, as we can see the title of this event, creates an opportunity for emerging economies to look into a less politically inclined way of thinking, while there are battles happening between superpowers. So your reflection on how South Korea does play that role very well, private sector, technology transfer, and issues like that.
Thank you, moderator. Thank you also for giving me a chance to speak about collaboration between global North and South. I'll talk three aspects. The first one is that how Korea can play a role or contribute. Second one is that how multilateralism can be maintained in the face of a growing influence of the global South. Last one, what collaboration between global North and South means for Bangladesh, especially in terms of the Rohingya refugees. The first one is that how Korea can contribute. Tapping into our experience of having achieved industrialization and democratization in a single generation, Korea is in a unique position to play a critical role in bridging the global North and South. Foreign policy of current Korean government is vision to become global pivotal states, contributing to freedom, peace, and prosperity around the world. The more than 40% of the increase of our ODA this year is the single most visible action of our seriousness as a global pivotal state. Korea will act on our commitment to humanitarian assistance. Since 2017, Korea has annually provided humanitarian aid of $3 to $5 million for the Rohingya refugees and the communities in Bangladesh. The funding of the humanitarian aid was increased to $10 million this year. The next one is that public-private partnership. Harnessing the dynamism and entrepreneurship of private sector was a key ingredient in Korea's economic transformation. In tandem with the increase in public resources through ODA, Korea will use its capacity as a convener to encourage the catalytic investment from the private sector. KOICA is called Korea International Cooperation Agency, is also the promoting innovative development cooperation projects with domestic setup and small, medium, and large enterprises. These projects are expected to grow in private investment through blended finance and play a catalytic role in closing financing gap while leveraging private expertise and technology. Now, second one is that how multilateralism can be maintained. As we know, the multilateral system has long stood as the cornerstone of global peace and prosperity. Multilateralism enables our collective cooperation to achieve shared benefits and address common challenges. However, sadly, multilateral framework is now being tested like never before at a time when cascading global challenges call for stronger multilateralism. The world cannot afford a retreat from multilateralism. For instance, according to IMF report last year, trade fragmentation could cost up to 7% of global output. Therefore, we must continue to strengthen and reform the international institutions that lies at the heart of a multilateral system. First, we must keep on the momentum of reform of the Multilateral Development Bank, MDBs. The MDBs are the key driving force in the global effort to fight poverty and promote sustainable growth in the global south. MDBs need to be bigger, bolder, and better if they are to effectively address challenges such as pandemics and climate change, which take heavier tolls on low-income countries. The MDBs need to have a broader mandate. Their operating model should be enhanced, and their financing capacity needs to be strengthened. Now I'm talking about WTO. We must continue to strengthen rule-based multilateral trading system with the WTO at its core. The pressing global challenges we face today, including climate change and global inequalities, have a serious trade implications. Accordingly, WTO needed to be more relevant to tackle them. The conclusion of investment facilitation development agreements at WTO was a milestone achievement for WTO. The agreements will help low-income countries, in particular, to harness foreign investment as a driving force for the long-term growth. So, last one, what collaboration between global North and South means for Bangladesh? I only talk about the BRICS in terms of Bangladesh. I think that being the member of the BRICS means that taking bigger role and responsibilities. As we know, Bangladesh has accommodated more than 1 million Rohingya refugees since August 2017. Frankly speaking, there is no visible or realistic solution at this point. However, we shall make best effort to deal with the issue. Rohingya crisis is a threat, not just to Bangladesh, but the region and beyond. It means that China and India should play a bigger role, as the foreign advisor emphasized at this forum last Saturday. Also, Rohingya refugees also a crisis to Muslim world. I think that OIC also play a bigger role in this matter. So I hope that there is a real progress in Rohingya refugee crisis. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Park. So that brings us to Stefan Liller. And you heard all the speakers so far. There has been heads of states, there has been mission heads, there has been ambassadors, and UNDP, I think, has the ability to observe all of these as part of UN and also as part of a development organization by name. So how do you see the development aid is conflicting with the tradition? Is the traditional aid as it is gone? Is there new pattern emerging? How do you see all these things happening?
Thank you so much, Faisal. First of all, to say that Corinne probably stole my talking points, because she started by talking about the SDGs and the Agenda 2030, which is, of course, the North Star of UN's work and the work that we are doing, many of us collectively. That was the goals agreed in 2015. If we were to go back in time with the current context, we will probably not be able to agree on those goals today. We're way behind, and we have still a very small opportunity to start closing those gaps and start speeding up our work across that agenda. I wanted to say something, first of all, of UNDP. UNDP is the UN's development program. So we're the development arm of the UN system. We are present in about 170 countries of the world. And our history is a little bit similar to this kind of aid development cooperation discussions, because 50 years ago, UNDP, with the help through our donors and partners, used to fund other UN agencies, for example. It was a fund, so it used to distribute so that other agencies and other partners could do their work. Over time, that has changed. Now, our work is much more about cooperation, leveraging experience, knowledge, transferring between south-south, north-south, south-north sometimes as well. So it's much more of a dynamic relationship anymore. So it's not like when we talk about the political dynamics, north-south, in terms of development, that's much more fluid. And if you take a country like Bangladesh that maybe 50 years ago was very aid dependent, if you look even only the last 10, 15 years, the amount of grant funding that the country received is steadily going down, while the loan financing is going up. And I think that's the history of many countries. As their economies grow, the development aid or the money injected becomes less and less important, and sometimes not important at all. But what's more important than that, I think private sector, as previous speaker has also said, I mean, that's the key of unlocking some of the funding to fund the type of development challenges that we see today. So in terms of finding new financing instrument and trying to bring private sector in to help find, because there's no way that countries can carry the load, nor can North support South or South support South. It needs to have the private sector and partnering coming together. And I think going back to that, partners coming together and international solidarity is very important. And I would like to take Bangladesh as an example of that, because Bangladesh, while it's an LDC country, Bangladesh is very involved in a lot of international processes and forums, some of them led by the UN. Bangladesh is receiving development cooperation and technical assistance, but at the same time, they are also giving it. For example, in terms of locally led climate change adaptation and resilience building, Bangladesh is one of the most advanced countries in that. So they're exporting that to other countries. In terms of digitalization and other issues as well, Bangladesh is sharing their knowledge. And something that I believe most of you wouldn't know, Bangladesh is also contributing financially to the international system. So Bangladesh is actually one of the 20 top core donors to UNDP. They're actually funding UNDP so we can work in other countries around the world to also bring development solutions and respond to conflict. So I think this is also very important to look at. It doesn't matter where you are in terms of your own development or your income level. It's what you can contribute in funding, in knowledge, and experience with others is what counts. Of course, we cannot, in a discussion around aid and beyond aid, not mention issues around trade. And colleagues on the panel have also mentioned that. And if you only would take ASEAN, that in 2003 exported $871 million. In 2023, that same ASEAN exported $3.5 trillion, of which 22% was between the same member countries. So a lot of the potential and a lot of the opportunities is in terms of unlocking that trade between countries and between regions. But we also have to think about a new architecture for international development cooperation. I think it's quite popular to discuss that now with the reform of the Bretton Woods institution, the reform of the UN as well. It's, I think, in everybody's mind, because there is a pushback on globalization. There is a pushback against multilateralism. But many of the issues that we are grappling with today and issues that we will be grappling with in the future, like climate change, like pandemics, how to regulate AI, and many other issues. It needs an architecture and ensuring global goods for people. It needs an international architecture where we can come together and cooperate on an equal or more equal status, where we all contribute, receive, and give based on our own opportunities and abilities. So, thank you so much.
Thank you. That was very insightful. Mr. Boris Tadic, you have already given us a very gracious keynote speak. So I would also like to ask you if there's anything that you would like to have a follow-up, some afterthoughts, listening to all the panelists. And also, when I was listening to your speech, I was thinking about asking you, how do you see that aid, multilateralism, doesn't, so there's a lot of economic need in many economic infrastructure, related aid, loan, that is understandable. But how does then your vision of multilateralism work without also compromising on good governance, democracy, and issues like that?
In general, I consider that I talked too long, and I mean, other panelists much more important right now to deliver their thoughts. But about just a few, one observation about multilateralism. We need a new world orders, without which we cannot imagine new multilateralism system of United Nations. But the problem is who is going to implement these new orders. The countries that have a significant dispute exactly on functioning new orders in the world in the future. And this is why I'm not very optimistic in that respect. If we are not going to have a new world orders, we are going to live in the long interim period. In that interim period, no one is going to be able to define what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. Do we respect territorial integrity of every single country or not? What about World Trade Organization? What about trading? Whether we are going to arrest some significant business people from the country which is game changer in some economies, for example, telecommunication sector or digitalization, something like that. This is the dilemma we are facing with, and I don't have a real answers on that. But from my point of view, interim period is a very dangerous period. This period is very dangerous. And let me say that interim period of this government is also quite dangerous period. We had an interim period. My suggestions to my friends from Bangladesh to take into consideration seriously few things. Security, because of not taking into consideration seriously security reforms in my country, we lost first democratically elected prime minister who was killed by security forces. Second, foreign policy. I think that Bangladesh, geostrategically thinking, is in some area that has to have a very good relations with all big powers, but to find strategical orientations. I would be very happy if that is going to be ASEAN future. I don't know, I'm not interfering in that, but for us that was European Union. We had good relations with Washington, with Moscow and Beijing, but we were aware about our Brussels future and the European Union future. These two things I'm suggesting, and also to define the fastest lifts in terms of economical development. Without digitalization, there is no real perspective, and digitalization is a crucially important. But new technologies, new technologies, new technologies, this is the fastest way how you can get a better living standards. All kinds of new technologies, bioengineering, digitalization, ICT, artificial intelligence, neuroscience, and synergy of those technologies and aspect of industry with those technologies can create enormous boost of economy and better living standard in this country.
Excellent, thank you. We have 10 to 11 minutes. Let me first gauge the temperature of the room. How many hands are there in terms of asking questions, just to get an idea first? Okay, if you could take your designated spaces, there are 4 microphones. Please position yourself while we go for a very last rapid round of concluding remarks from all of you. So starting from furthest, Corinne, did you want to say some final thoughts? Very quick, very rapid.
If I manage to switch off the microphone, first challenge. No, I think the thing that I would like to leave as a concluding remark is that on one hand, our keynote speaker also gave us a message of hope. It's also the beginning of history. And yes, when you go to a change, there is a lot of disruption and chaos. But out of it will come something probably better. So we have to remember to stay partners, to leave no one behind, and to share what we know in a very humble way.
Stefan?
No, I think we need to, thanks first of all for the very interesting panel, but I think we need to stand up for multilateralism and international cooperation, because I think that is the future if we're going to tackle some of the important challenges. So we need to stand up for that. We need to dig our heels in on that one, while at the same time trying to improve the institutions we have. They're not perfect, any of them, and that's why I think many of us are working every day to make them better. But let's bet on international cooperation, solidarity, and friendly interaction between countries.
Yeah. Prime Minister?
I would reiterate what I said. The first is, as a country, as a region, as a continent, we have to know our own interest in the short term, middle term, and the long term, and to try to work with all opportunities available to get this target reached. This is first. The second, we have to work on attractivity, different thing about attractivity. And the last one, to strengthen the private sectors. The role for the state could be to stay behind, the organized thing, to settle maybe a foreign policy, a geostrategical policy, but the engine will stay the private sector. We have to help private sector and to settle partnership between different private sector over the seas. I think those things could help us to get economical growth and to make our people happy.
Excellent. Mr. President? Okay. Mr. Ambassador?
I'm watching this drone. I hope this is not military drone.
So, if you want to emphasize the role of the private sector, yes, I agree. This is very important. So, Korea has a technology, so Korea can maybe make effort to transform technology in some areas. This is which area can Korea play a role. Another is that regarding technology, everybody now talking about new technology. However, I'm emphasizing that Bangladesh has a very huge population. It means that Bangladesh needs to promote light industry and manufacturing sector in order to accommodate more population in job.
Right.
So job creation most important to Bangladesh. So R&D sector still most important about Bangladesh. So, but now is problem is that the cost of R&D sector is too fast. So I worry. Why have some fear that Bangladesh might try to losing the price competitiveness to other countries. So this is my, I'd like to emphasize.
Thank you very much. Very enlightening. Now, let's see how many questions we can squeeze in. So yes, please, go ahead. Introduce yourself. If you have any designated speaker who you would like to answer, also let us know.
Good evening, distinguished member of the panel. I am Taposh Bhonju, currently studying public administration at University of Dhaka. So I have found in the internet that according to DEVEX, the countries of Global South need almost $1 trillion by 2030 to address the climate and development issues. So for that huge amount of money, they must need to be compelled before organizations like IMF, World Bank, ADB, who often interfere in the internal policy-making process of those countries, resulting in complexities. So my question to the panel is that, does the panel believe that a well-designed financial collaboration between Global South and North countries is imminent and necessary, respecting the sovereignty of respecting the political sovereignty of the peripheral countries? Thank you.
Yep. We'll take a few more questions.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Admiral Awal, former ambassador and also associated with the Maritime Think Tank. Thank you, panel, for enlightening us. Excellency, former Serbian President Boris Tadic. I was very much encouraged by your very thoughtful keynote speech, particularly the mention about the cooperation between the EU's Global Gateway and the BRI of China. I mean, this is something difficult to conceptualize right now. I'm referring to a IMF study by a team led by its deputy managing director. They have found that, post, Russian invasion of Ukraine, they're checking how does the investment and trade trend goes. For Global South, for us, the trade and investment is very, very important. The common wisdom is geoeconomics should
Ambassador, Honorable Ambassador, we have some time frame. Please move to the question.
Right. So what they have found out that in the new scenario, like the old Cold War, the trade and investment flow would be decided by the geopolitics. So that's the issue here. and the geopolitics has become so toxicized that it's very difficult that how that goes. That's how between the blocs, China plus friends, US plus friends and allies, between them, the future scope of trade and investment will be reduced. That's the IMF finding. So in that context, how do you see the future prospect of cooperation between the BRI and also not only the global network of EU, there is Blue.net, then the Build Back Better World, that is also there. The three organizations versus BRI, what is the future? Thank you.
Excellent question. Thank you.
Hello, I am Ifa Sarira, a student of public administration in University of Dhaka. So first, it's an honor to ask you a question in this round. So the former president of Serbia has said that interim period is very dangerous period. So in Bangladesh, there were no democratic elections for many days, and other political parties are just hungry for power and are just hungry for this position. So we have just these boiling trust issues, whom we can trust about the reformations, about the good changes. So in this regard, as you all are the global leaders, what do you think, in realistic approach, what do you think, for how long should this interim government have to remain in power? And that's the question. Thank you.
Thank you. One last question in the back, please.
Yes, thank you.
Should I state the second question?
No, we got it. Thank you.
This is Khandaka Rajan. I work for the food sector development last 20 years. Just I will share my global experience with the
do you have any question?
Yes, also I have the question.
Yeah,
Just first I have to put some data. So
yeah, we are running out of time, so can you pitch it very quickly, please?
Yes, I will do shortly. For the sustainable development, now presently we're working for the agro sector development. So in this issue, we import too many technologies for the agri sector and the food sector. So most probably we prefer the European missionaries and the Canadian or American missionaries. But when we go to purchase the machinery from the China or India, what happened last 15 years, they have supplied too many technologies that is copied and overrated, sometimes that not work. So too many investors, they have lost a lot of monies, and some investors, they have lost all of the capitals. So for the sustainable development, we have to work properly. So how can we get proper machinery from some other countries like India or China or some other? Okay. So one more data.
Please ask. We don't have time. We ran out of time literally. So thank you very much. I think that's it. Given the time, I think there was only one general question. Other than that, I think President Tadic has most of the questions.
Excuse me.
One general question was about the sovereignty versus multilateralism versus, so Ambassador Park is volunteering to answer
regarding one. So Korea also underwent the big economic crisis 1997, 1998. So also Korea get IMF rescue package $53 billion. So the conditionality is very severe. So we have to change a lot of domestic economic policy. So somebody saying in Korea is now losing the sovereignty. But problem is that without any reform, we cannot overcome the economic crisis. Now, IMF, World Bank, ADB, they're providing a lot of money for Bangladesh. Also, especially IMF, they are asking some conditionality, especially now asking few areas. One is that energy subsidy cut. Number two is tax revenue collection. Number three, the banking sector. Banking sector much pressure in Bangladesh. So in those three areas, Bangladesh needed to improve. Without improve this one, Bangladesh economy cannot make Bangladesh economy cannot be
the sustainable and the vibrant or resilient. So I don't think so this kind of the reform of those three sectors is a losing sovereignty. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Anyone else wants to, before, I think I would have the President Tadic coming in the last, so, yeah. Anyone else wants to take any of the question or? No, okay.
I will try. I don't know how long has to work interim government. This is depend on the people in the Bangladesh, but I know what they have to do. They have to prepare normal conditions for normal democratic elections. This is very important. After 2012 in my country, we had 12 years of normal democratic elections. But after 2012, we don't have a normal conditions. And right now, opposition in Serbia is fighting for normal conditions for democratic elections. Because taking into consideration new technologies nowadays, everyone who is on the power can manipulate with the voters and create many, many specific tensions. This is what I talked with my friend who is taking huge responsibility. He's a brilliant person. I know him for many, many years, but he's facing with many problems. But also, it takes some time and patience, but we from the international community, from this forum, we can help with our experience how you can improve your conditions for the normal elections. About cooperation between global initiatives, I'm not saying that they are going to cooperate in a formal way, but if they are working in a parallel way, this is kind of cooperation in the final outcome, because outcome is going to be more infrastructure in Mali, more infrastructure in Central Asia, more infrastructure in Eastern Europe. In my country, for example, Eastern European countries are cooperating with Belt and Road Strategy. This is 17+1, and we are building highways, fast railway, and everything else. This is good. This is necessarily for all of us in order to reach better living standard and also more stable society. If they are not cooperating formally, final outcome, but if they are competing, final outcome is going to be very good for the mankind.
Yes, please. Mr. Prime Minister.
I would like to maybe add some few things about the interim period, because my own country is living on the transitional period. And the most important thing is not the time to fix. And in our own experience, we fix at the starting 2 years. But we are now more than 4 years in the interim period. And I am not sure he is going to finish the next coming month. The most important thing is the different goals to be reached during this period, and to fix the different steps toward this goal, and to organize the consensus around that. The consensus is the best thing during the interim period. Political parties are always in a hurry to run for the election and to be in the power. But the most important thing for the country is the state, the interim government, civil society, political party, maybe security forces, together make a consensual agreement about what to be done during this period, how to check it, how to fix it, and how to validate it before organizing the election. And then the term will come. I think this is the best way to run this kind of period.
Well, Excellencies, honorable representatives, it has been an absolute honor to be in the same podium with you, listening to you. Very insightful discussion, and I hope the audience also enjoyed the discussion. With that, our session comes to an end, and this is the last session, right? So it has been an absolute honor also for me as a development partner to be associated with Liller Bhai's Bay of Bengal Conversations, CGS, for the last 3 years. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.